she dated the most dangerous man in the music industry. She wrote him a letter defending him to a federal judge. And then she sat across from Charlemagne the God and said 3 words that changed everything. I lost a lot. Not online hate, not Twitter drama, not canceled posts, real money, real deals, real friendships gone, permanently, because of one man. And the most shocking part, she does not regret a single second of it. Yung Miami just gave the most honest, most raw, and most revealing interview of her entire career, and the internet has barely scratched the surface of what she actually said.
Issues. How do you reconcile the person you knew with the headlines everybody else sees?
I think in life, you always get put in something or a situation where you gotta make a life decision, and you gotta look back and say, like, what makes sense for me right now? Like, I can love this person, but I can love this person from a distance, or I can have a relationship with this person, but maybe I gotta come back to it. Like, maybe I gotta come back around. And I think that was one of those situations.
You wrote a letter vouching for Diddy's character. And a lot of people were upset because they was like, how could she do that after seeing the video with Cassie? A lot of people wanted to know why you decided to still write that letter.
I think I wrote a letter for a change, man. I think that the man that I met and that I experienced would change. I'm not going to justify some bullshit, like, support.
Because buried inside that Breakfast Club sit-down is a story about loyalty, about sacrifice, about a woman who chose a convicted man over her own career and is now living with every consequence of that choice. Stay locked in, because what I am about to break down for you goes much deeper than what the headlines are telling you. Before we get into what Yung Miami said, you need to understand exactly who she is and why this confession carries so much weight. Koresha Brownlee, known to the world as Yung Miami, built her name as one half of City Girls, the Miami rap duo that became one of the most unapologetically raw female voices in hip-hop. Alongside JT, she gave women in rap a completely different lane. Loud, confident, street smart, and completely unfiltered. City Girls were not trying to be polished, they were trying to be real. And for a large part of their fan base, that realness was exactly why they connected so deeply. At the height of their momentum, Yung Miami entered a public relationship with Sean Combs Diddy. From 2021 through 2023, the two were photographed together, linked publicly, and Yung Miami became one of the few people in his orbit who spoke positively about him, even as his world began to collapse. She appeared on his podcast. She attended events with him. She let the world see them together. And then, in September 2024, everything changed forever. Diddy was arrested. Federal charges, sex trafficking, transportation for purposes of prostitution.
Now the Sean Diddy Combs investigation. New surveillance video shows Combs being taken into custody in a Manhattan hotel last week.
The man who had been one of the most powerful figures in the entire entertainment industry for 3 decades was suddenly in a cell, facing the full weight of the United States government. The industry ran from him immediately. Labels distanced themselves, artists scrubbed collaborations, former associates deleted photos. The Diddy era for most people was over overnight. But Yung Miami did not run. She wrote him a letter. A character letter submitted directly to the federal judge overseeing his sentencing. In it, she described the Diddy she personally knew, a man she called loving, genuine, and supportive, a man who motivated her and helped her grow, a man she believed was different from the one described in the allegations. She told the judge directly, "That is a good man." The internet did not forgive her for it. 6 months after that letter went public, 6 months of silence, of criticism, of watching her numbers fall and her opportunities disappear. 6 months of carrying that weight by herself. And then on March 24, 2026, Yung Miami sat down with Charlemagne the God on the Breakfast Club, and she finally talked. Charlemagne asked her directly, "Did supporting Diddy cost you anything real? Anything beyond the online hate?" She did not hesitate. It did. Bad. And then she laid it all out piece by piece. "I lost deals. I lost money. I lost relationships. I lost a lot." Let that land for a second.
You wrote a letter vouching for Diddy's character. And a lot of people were upset because they was like, how could she do that after seeing the video with Cassie? A lot of people wanted to know why you decided to still write that letter.
I think I wrote a letter for a change, man. I think that the man that I met and that I experienced would change. I'm not going to justify some bullshit.
This is not a woman venting on social media. This is not a calculated PR moment. This is a 32-year-old woman sitting in front of cameras and admitting publicly that her loyalty to one man dismantled real parts of her professional life, brand partnerships that will never come back, revenue streams that dried up, friendships, real ones that could not survive the association. And then she said something that most people in her position would never say out loud. She said she does not regret writing the letter because the man she wrote it for, the Diddy she personally knew, was not the same man described in those courtrooms. She was not there for the things he was convicted of. She was not part of that world. She was present for a different version of him, and she chose to speak to that version honestly. I can only judge who I met. I can only judge who I was in a relationship with. That is not a defense of his crimes. That is a woman making a very careful, very deliberate distinction. And whether you agree with her or not, the honesty of it is impossible to ignore. Because so much of this situation traces back to that letter, we need to talk about exactly what Yung Miami wrote and why it caused the reaction that it did. When Diddy was convicted on 2 counts related to transporting individuals across state lines for prostitution, connected specifically to his former girlfriend Cassie Ventura and male sex workers, the case moved into sentencing. At that stage, the judge received character letters from people in Diddy's life, as is standard in federal proceedings. Yung Miami was among those who submitted one. In it, she told Judge Arun Subramanian that she had been in a public relationship with Sean Combs for 3 of the 4 years she had known him. She wrote that behind the scenes, he was loving. He was supportive. He was the kind of man who made her believe in herself. She wrote that, in her personal opinion, he is not a danger to the community. She called him a man of God. Now here is where the public reaction becomes completely understandable. The timing of this letter was brutal. Cassie Ventura had already testified. Hotel surveillance footage had already gone public. The details of the case had already shocked the world. And into that environment, Yung Miami submitted a document calling him a good man and asking for leniency. The backlash was not subtle, it was immediate, and it was sustained. People who had supported City Girls for years felt a sense of betrayal. Brands that had been in conversation with her went quiet. The audience she had built, largely women who connected with her rawness and her voice, felt that she had chosen the wrong side in a situation where the evidence was undeniable, and Yung Miami absorbed all of it, quietly, for months. Here is a part of this story that almost nobody is discussing, and it is the part that I think matters the most. Yung Miami is not the first person in hip-hop history to publicly support someone whose legal situation was deeply controversial. She is not even close to the first. Artists have written letters, posted bail, shown up at courthouses, and spoken at sentencing hearings for people convicted of serious crimes throughout the history of this genre. And in many of those cases, the industry moved on relatively quickly. But Yung Miami is being held to a different standard, and it is worth asking why. Part of it is timing. The cultural moment around Diddy's case was unlike almost anything the entertainment industry has ever faced. The scope of the allegations, the high-profile nature of the victims, the way the story dominated every platform simultaneously, it created a level of public rage that left almost no room for nuance. Part of it is gender dynamics. A woman defending a man convicted of crimes involving the exploitation of women is going to draw a specific kind of fury that is qualitatively different from other forms of celebrity controversy. And part of it, and this is the uncomfortable part, is the way the entertainment industry treats loyalty when it becomes inconvenient. The same industry that built Diddy's empire, that celebrated him for decades, that took his money and attended his parties and put him on magazine covers, that same industry disappeared overnight. And Yung Miami, one of the few people who chose to stay honest about her personal experience, has paid a price that many of his actual business partners never faced at all. She did not run. She did not delete. She did not issue a careful statement crafted by a PR team. She wrote what she felt and she stood by it, and she paid a real professional cost for that choice. That does not make her right, but it makes her something increasingly rare in celebrity culture. It makes her honest. Let us talk about what Yung Miami actually lost, not in abstract terms, in real, specific terms. Brand deals in the music and entertainment space can be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars per campaign. For an artist at Yung Miami's level, a verified rapper with a national profile, a television presence, and a dedicated fan base, a single brand partnership can generate life-changing income. When those conversations stop happening, when the emails go unanswered, when the offers that were coming in suddenly aren't there anymore, the financial impact compounds faster than most people realize. And the views. In a streaming economy, views are currency. YouTube revenue, streaming numbers, the algorithm's willingness to push your content, all of it is connected to momentum. When momentum stops, rebuilding it is not a linear process. You do not just pick up where you left off. You start over, against a much colder algorithm, trying to re-earn attention from an audience that is partially moved on. But the part of her confession that hit differently, the part that you could hear the weight behind when she said it, was the relationships. I lost relationships. Those are not strangers. Those are not social media followers. Those are people she knew personally. Friends who could not reconcile who she is with the decisions she made. People who chose distance over understanding. And that kind of loss does not show up on a financial statement. It does not trend on Twitter. It just exists, quietly, in the spaces where those friendships used to be. Yung Miami sat in that chair and told the truth. She did not dress it up. She did not minimize it. She said she lost a lot. And then she said, here I am, still standing, still moving, still here. That takes a particular kind of strength that does not get discussed enough. There is one more piece of this interview that deserves serious attention, and it is the part about JT. For those who have been following the City Girls situation, JT and Yung Miami have not been operating as a unit for some time now.
Like,
I don't know.
We
hope so.
We hope
No
so,
idea.
but if we're comparing it to Yung Miami icing her career for standing by Diddy versus Diddy and him being, it's different money levels as well too. Like, she has a lot more to consider. She's new out here in the streets. Diddy has been running around for my whole life. I'm 30-something years old. She has a lot more on the line. But speaking of relationships, she did touch on the situation with JT and the City Girl split as well.
It ain't all good and it's not all bad. Like, we don't talk every day, but it's no beef on my end. I still look at her like as family, but it's not like we on the phone, we chatting every day, or we checking in like, hey, you know, she posting my shit, I'm posting her shit. It's not, I won't say we beefing, but I'm the type of person, like, if we feel some type of way, we can hash this shit out behind closed.
The professional separation has been public knowledge, but the personal dimension of it has stayed largely behind closed doors. In the Breakfast Club interview, Yung Miami opened up about where things stand. She said that a reconciliation is possible, but it has to happen on the right terms and at the right time for both of them. She mentioned the idea of sitting down with JT alongside a therapist, not as a last resort, but as a real step toward working through what has clearly been a complicated period for both women. Let us both grow as individuals, she said. We both have to be in a space where we can sit down as adults. That is a mature, measured position from a woman who has spent the last year absorbing enormous professional, and it raises a question that the hip-hop world is quietly asking. Is a City Girls reunion possible? And if it happens, will the audience that drifted away during this period come back? The answer to those questions depends entirely on what Yung Miami does next, whether she can rebuild the momentum she lost, whether the industry that walked away from her finds its way back, whether the fans who felt betrayed are willing to separate the artist from the decision. None of that is guaranteed. But Yung Miami is still in the conversation. She is still releasing music. She is still showing up. And the fact that she sat down and told the full truth without spin, without a carefully scripted apology, suggests that whatever comes next for her will be built on something real. Yung Miami made a choice that cost her. She knew it was going to cost her. She did it anyway, and now she is living in the aftermath of that choice, telling the truth about what it actually felt like. You can disagree with her decision. You can think she was wrong to write that letter. You can believe she should have walked away from Diddy the moment the first allegation surfaced. All of those are valid positions, but you cannot say she was not honest. And in an industry where almost everyone performs a version of themselves designed for maximum approval, that honesty means something. This channel exists to give you the full story, not the headline, not the hot take. The full context, the real timeline, and the truth that most people skip past because it is more complicated than a tweet. Drop in the comments right now. Do you think Yung Miami made the right call writing that letter? Or do you think loyalty has limits? I genuinely want to hear where you stand on this. Subscribe if you have not already. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a breakdown like this. And I will see you in the next video. Stay locked in.